Have you ever trusted someone so completely only to discover that the one you loved most was the one holding the knife? I am Margaret Collins. At 71, I thought I had already endured the cruelest blow life could deliver, the sudden death of my husband Richard. But nothing prepared me for the day my daughter turned her back on me. The phone rang while I sat in the sterile waiting room of my doctor's office. The smell of disinfectant hung heavy in the air. Strangers coughed around me. And then I heard her voice, calm, cold, merciless. "Mom, I sold the house. I sold Dad's truck. Tomorrow I'm leaving for good." No hesitation, no trace of love, just the sound of a daughter cutting her mother loose. And then silence. She hung up. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. 45 years of sleepless nights, scraped together savings, warm meals, and whispered prayers erased in a single sentence. Richard's death had already hollowed me out. He had kissed me on the forehead over breakfast, set my coffee down with a smile, and then collapsed before my eyes. That was how he left me, without warning, without goodbye. I thought Emily, our only child, would be the one piece of him I still had. And in those early months, she played the part. She visited, helped with the funeral, carried groceries, even urged me to keep up with my health. She smiled at me with a gentleness I mistook for devotion. But now I saw it clearly. That smile was not love. It was calculation. The beach house in Maine, where every Christmas and every summer had been alive with laughter. It meant nothing to her but cash in hand. Richard's old pickup, which he polished every Sunday as if it were another member of the family, it was just metal to her, something to trade away. And me, I was no longer a mother in her eyes. I was simply an obstacle. In that waiting room, surrounded by strangers, I felt a pain deeper than death. Because this was not just betrayal of property, it was betrayal of blood. And yet, in the middle of that storm, something inside me shifted. For the first time since Richard's death, I did not cry. Instead, a strange calmness spread through me like the eye of a hurricane. Because I remembered. 3 days before he died, Richard had pressed a plain brown envelope into my hands. "Keep this safe, Margaret. Don't open it unless something happens, and only when you're ready." Back then, I had tucked it into a drawer, buried beneath the fog of grief and daily survival. I had forgotten it until now. That evening, I returned home, my hands trembling as I opened the drawer in our bedroom. There it was, the envelope, waiting. I sat down on the bed we had shared for almost half a century. Outside, dusk settled, and the house filled with shadows that once frightened me but now felt familiar. I breathed deeply and opened it. Inside were deeds, bank certificates, legal papers stamped with seals I had never seen, and then his handwriting. Richard's steady, careful script. "My dearest Margaret, if you are reading this, I am gone. Forgive me for keeping secrets, but I wanted to shield you from worry. For decades I invested quietly: properties, businesses, shares. The beach house was never our only treasure. You are the rightful owner of 6 more estates, including the high-rise in New York where Emily and Daniel live. You are wealthy, my love, far wealthier than you ever knew. And now it is yours, every last piece. I hid this not from you, but from her. I wanted Emily to love us as her parents, not as her bankers. If she had known, her heart might have changed. Please understand." My chest tightened as tears blurred the words. All those years I believed we lived modestly on his salary as an engineer. All those years he had been building, piece by piece, a fortune hidden in plain sight. And now it was mine. The irony burned in me like fire. Emily had betrayed me because she believed I had nothing. She thought she had sold the last scraps of my life. But the truth, I held Richard's letter against my chest, my tears falling silently. Emily believed she had stripped me of everything. She thought I was a powerless, abandoned widow. But in truth, I held the keys to an empire she couldn't even imagine. The very next morning, the phone rang again. Emily's tone had softened, but her words carried the same cold calculation. Mom, we transferred 30% of the money from the house and the truck into your account. That should cover a few months until you find a small apartment. Fair, right? Daniel and I need the rest for our project in Europe. 30% of what was already mine. How generous. I forced a calm breath and replied simply, "Then I wish you both a safe journey." She sweetened her voice. "Oh, Mom, you know we love you." And just like that, she hung up again. But this time, I didn't cry. I laughed a laugh that startled even me, because she had no idea. No idea that Richard had left me everything. No idea that her betrayal meant nothing now. Emily left with Daniel, chasing Andrew Blake, a slick businessman who promised grand opportunities overseas. But those promises crumbled quickly. Andrew had built his empire on lies and loans. When the creditors closed in, he disappeared, vanishing into the night, leaving Emily with nothing but debts and shame. Weeks later, my phone rang once more. But this time, the voice on the other end was not cold. It was broken, trembling. "Mom, I'm back. I don't know where else to go. Can I come home?" That evening, she appeared at my door. Pale, her once polished clothes wrinkled, eyes swollen from crying, 2 small suitcases clutched in her hands. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered, barely able to look at me. "I know what I did was unforgivable. Please, just let me stay." For a long moment, I let her words hang in the air. Then I opened the door and spoke softly. "Of course, Emily, come home." She stepped inside, as fragile as a child, unaware that while I had opened my door, I had also opened a different kind of plan. I would shelter her not to save her, but to let her finally face the weight of her own choices. And soon, that weight would crush her. Emily moved back into her childhood room, the same room where she once taped posters to the wall and dreamed of a brilliant future. But she returned not as the bright girl I remembered. She came back with lowered eyes, heavy silence, and shame hanging from her shoulders. On the 3rd day, she brought me an envelope she had found tucked inside Andrew's luggage. My heart stopped the moment I saw Richard's handwriting. Inside was a key, along with a short note. "Margaret, if our daughter faces hardship, this key will guide her. Safe deposit box 247 Main Branch. Use it with care. Richard." Emily's eyes widened as she read over my shoulder. "A safe deposit box, Mom. Maybe it holds something valuable, something that could save us." Her voice cracked with desperation. The next morning, we stood inside the bank vault as the clerk slid open box 247. Inside lay velvet pouches, glimmering with jewels rings, emeralds, strings of pearls, heirlooms from Richard's family. Emily gasped. "Mom, this is a fortune with this. We can pay off the debts." I whispered quietly, almost to myself. "These aren't riches, Emily. They're memories." But she shook her head, frantic. "No, we have no choice. If I don't sell them, the banks will take everything. Please, Mom, I can't survive without this." And so it began. Piece by piece, she pawned Richard's treasures. I watched as her hands shook, counting bills under the kitchen light, tears streaking her face. One evening she confessed in a whisper, "They gave me 180,000, less than I hoped, but enough to cover the worst of it." But it wasn't enough. It never was. Soon, rejection letters piled up, creditors circled, until one night, exhausted, she came to me and said, "Mom, I had 3 interviews today. 2 turned me down because of the lawsuits. The 3rd offered me a job as a night janitor. Low pay, long hours. But I'll take it. I don't want to be your burden anymore." I placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Are you sure you can bear it?" She nodded, her eyes hollow but determined. "I have no choice." And so Emily began to scrub office floors at midnight. her once manicured hands raw from bleach and soap. Night after night, she stumbled home, shoes worn, body aching, soul humbled. I did not intervene. I let her suffer. Because only in that suffering could she learn what she had never understood: the weight of honest work, the price of pride, the fragility of trust, For the first time, my daughter tasted what it meant to lose everything. And only then could she begin to see what truly mattered. Months slipped by. Emily's nights were spent scrubbing empty offices, her days, sleeping in exhaustion. Slowly, the arrogance faded. She spoke less of money and more of simple things: the ache in her back, the quiet loneliness of the night shift, the silence of her thoughts. One evening, she sat across from me at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped tightly around a chipped coffee mug. Her voice was low, trembling. "Mom, I think I finally understand. None of it matters: the houses, the cars, the jewelry. I lost everything because I was blind to the only thing that truly mattered: family." Her eyes filled with tears as she reached for my hand. "I'm so sorry, Mom. For everything. For the words I said. For what I took from you. Please, forgive me." For the first time, I believed her. No excuses. No schemes. Just a broken heart, raw with regret. Silently, I rose and went to my bedroom. From the drawer, I took out the folder Richard had left me, the one with deeds, bank statements, proof of the empire he had built in secret. I laid it in front of Emily. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Her breath caught. "Mom, this can't be real. These properties, these accounts, millions, and this high-rise in New York, it belongs to you." I nodded. She lowered the papers, tears streaming freely now. "Oh God, and I treated you like nothing. I sold your house. Dad saved all this for you, and I betrayed you both." I touched her hand gently. "Emily, I let you fall because I needed you to see. Money means nothing without love, without respect, without family. Now you know what it means to lose everything." She broke down, sobbing into my palms like the child she once was. "Please, Mom, give me a second chance." This time, I embraced her, not with strategy, not with calculation, but with love. "You are my daughter. And yes, you have a second chance. But we will do things differently now." From that day forward, we began again, together. We created a foundation in Richard's name, turning the beach house into a shelter for mothers with nowhere else to go. Emily dedicated herself to the work, and I stood by her side. Each time we welcomed a woman in need, I saw something return to Emily's eyes, the same spark she had as a child, when love was simple and pure. At last, I had my daughter back. Dear listener, sometimes life must break us into pieces before it allows us to heal. Margaret and Emily's story is not about money, nor betrayal. It is about love rediscovered, forgiveness offered, and the courage to begin again. If this story touched your heart, stay with us. Here, we share stories that remind us all, no matter how far we fall, we are never truly alone. I had everything,